Good evening, everybody. What's up? Welcome to Fast Break. Another good episode here. We've got our own Cancun resident in Shaz,
You
and
know what's happening. You know what's happening.
our very own lucky man from the green side, Faro. What's up, gentlemen? It's good
Conf-
to have you guys here.
all good, all good, all
Listen.
good, all good.
First of all, Faro, why are you wearing that Kemba Walker jersey? But I mean, it's Boston Celtics, so
Look, bro. The thing is, right? The thing is, this is to show that I'm a seasoned professional, being a supporter, and I've been through some rough times, and this is a testament to that.
not even
So
a Kevin
the
McHale.
only time I'll touch the big zero with the Jason Tatum is if we go all the way and get grab the chip this season. But
All
if we
the
don't,
way.
all the
Yo.
way,
Oh, we'll
all
get to that.
the
We'll get to
way.
that. We'll get to that. But first of all, I think I wanted to talk about the Golden State Warriors and the Memphis Grizzlies series.
Mm.
Just to let you guys know, for those of you guys who I don't know live under a rock and maybe don't know that the Warriors are up 3-1. There were also quite a few events that followed because the one game Draymond Green got suspended, and then Dylan Brooks got suspended following his injury on his flagrant foul on Gary Payton Jr. And then again, Jean Morant getting injured and all the things he said on social media. As a guy who's not in Cancun, Farah, since you have some playoff experience in 2022 to talk about, what do you take? What's your take on all of this? If I may ask.
Bro, so first of all, what I will say is because I actually watched the game last night as well, and Golden State played horribly. That was one of the worst games I've seen them play all playoffs. And the weird thing is that the fact that they managed to get the dub and grab the dub for me means that this is heading towards gentleman's sweep. And my biggest issue is that for someone like Ja, right? I love that he has all this charisma and he has all of this, but I think there's too much noise off the court and too much noise outside the court. Like, bro, you can't be like grittying like after leveling the series or wrapping up the Timberwolves. Who the freaking heck are the who the, that's my thing with Ja. So they by nature they capitulated, right?
But I
And
mean, we all like good NBA story, a good story. You're a Kevin Durant fan. I know that you don't like the fact that he plays for the Nets, but I know you're a KD fan and you like KD. So do I,
yeah.
And how is Ja any different off the court than KD? Because
Bro, because John Morant is not a 7-foot unicorn monster who can pull up and shoot that thing from anywhere, bro. And as much as KD is all of those things, he's still not as loud as Ja is. And my biggest issue with him is Ja just gotcha, bro. KD swept LeBron in the finals. He has that under his belt, right? You have to earn the right to certain things. This
Swept.
guy,
Swept. Okay.
yeah, man. That everyone knows, man. There's still KD through the noise. He pulls up at 4-0, pulls up and hits that jumper. KD's earned this, and KD's been in the league for ages and ages and years and years. He's that guy. Even though
don't you think? I mean, there's any merit to Ja saying what he said because he's complaining about what's his name, the Warriors coach Steve Kerr saying that the injury, the flagrant foul Dylan Brooks had was him breaking the code. I
breaking the
mean,
code.
Shaz, you shaking your head. Surely you have a lot to say about this. As guys, for those of you guys that don't know, Shaz sets the most illegal screens. So this is his turf
Well,
when he's making fouls there.
I have no idea what we're talking about here. But anyway, I want to jump in. Firstly, look, we did call it. We said if anything happens to John Morant, that the series changes. I think he brings a whole lot of different intensity to this team than any other player on that team, and he is the superstar. The narratives of the dirty plays, I don't necessarily think that what happened to John Morant was a dirty play because there are two ways to look at it. There's the play where he blow past Klay Thompson, then gets hurt when Klay Thompson goes up for the shot. That's where we heard the initial injury was. The other injury where there's a double team on him. I didn't see the dirty play, and maybe that's just me. That seemed like a hard defensive play to me. I think that, as far as was indicating before, I think John Morant, his youth is coming out now in this playoff series. You can see that he really has been to the business end of the NBA before. So a lot of these things of social media and throwing out statements. It differs from the point that his team is not ready to go through to the next round. It differs from the point that him as a leader, he can't get his body into the right shape to try save the series. The stuff with Steve Kerr and Draymond Green, we all know that the Golden State Warriors are the so-called most cleanest team in the league, but they've got Draymond Green. So Steve Kerr is a professional coach. He's going to defer them losing because of Draymond, not because they played a terrible basketball game. That's great coaching. That is great coaching. You never put the pressure on your players. You said it was terrible officiating. But for me, it's just a lack of maturity on Ja Morant's side. If you're going to be that flashy and giddy on logos, you better be able to take the criticism when you're 3-1 down. So
it's the playoffs. And it's the playoffs.
Just to add on to that, I mean, now that you guys are mentioning Ja Morant, this and that happening to him, do you think his ceiling is going to be, because I mean, he's headed down the same path as
Don't
people
say
say
it.
Derrick
That
Rose
is an
and all these guys.
MVP.
But
That is an MVP. Don't say it.
I'm getting to my point. Not Derrick Rose, but another MVP, Russell Westbrook, where always ready to clap back at the media, making certain statements, but not exactly achieving what you want them to achieve. I mean, I see Fari shaking your head, but if you think about
it will never go that far, guys. Because the thing is, and it's purely because Ja's more talented. And I say more talented because the way Ja plays, listen to me. The way Ja plays, right? Ja can put his team on his back and win you a playoff game. Russell Westbrook, ain't no way, bro. That guy hold on, let me finish. And also the other thing is that Westbrook's had ages and ages and ages and ages to do it, and he's consistently failed us all. And I know it's a personal thing because he's your boy, but dude, Russell Westbrook is a prolific failure when it comes to playoff basketball.
Did you just say, I just want to know, did you just say that Ja Morant is more talented than the triple-double?
And Russell Westbrook, honestly.
I just want to clarify.
In terms of, talent is the wrong word. Clutch. There we go. That's the word. Clutch.
Okay.
Ja's more clutch.
I disagree with
you.
I
mean, I can count back how many.
Ja win you the game, bro.
Hold on, I can count back how many buzzer beater games Russell Westbrook has won.
How many of them were significant enough to say that this guy is going to take it all the way to get a chip?
I mean, he's been to the NBA final. We can say that it was courtesy of KD as well, but he's been there.
Yeah, but you see, right now, Ja gets the benefit of the doubt because he's got fewer years in the league. He's still got time to gain experience. He'll get over this thing of making noise and all this chatting. Dame Lillard knows with all that, hi, bye, where you at now type of thing. So he'll learn and he'll go back to his craft and he'll get it right. And I still feel like there's still a lot to be done in terms of building a team around Ja. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt in that regard.
So now, I'd like to make a formal request to you, while you still can, to just withdraw your statement about Ja being more talented, being more talented.
I will not.
While we're still here,
I will not withdraw that, bro. I personally feel that I think that Ja is more clutch than Russell Westbrook.
I think I'd like to tell you once again, this is a horribly incorrect basketball take. I think you're trying to sell newspapers. There's nothing that justifies what you're talking about.
I'm telling you.
In the words of Shaz, this is not a basketball take.
This is not a basketball take.
But that's neither here nor there. Staying in the Western Conference, Chris Paul, 7 turnovers, getting fouled out. The Suns yet again coming short and losing to the Dallas Mavericks. Now the series is tied and they're going back to the desert to play in Game 5. What are some of the things you guys are taking from this? I mean, there was a whole excuse before.
Go ahead.
Devin Booker being injured, how Chris Paul is a floor general, controls the floor, and then there was the whole thing of Luka Doncic not being a good defensive player, not having enough help. But both teams seem quite balanced now. And Shaz, I know you have a lot to say on this, so please.
Before I even go into my analysis, Brian, I know you were waiting for me on this one. Brian, I owe you an apology. I called it a sweep. And man, oh man, did I get it wrong. Like everybody else in the NBA or who watched it, I am shocked that the so-called best team in the league blew a two-game lead. We We thought it was a wrap. We thought Luka Doncic would not pick it up. And also, what's wild about this game was Luka scored less than 30 in 2 games, and they won. So that means the so-called our analysis of them not having enough pieces was maybe Luka not trusting his pieces before. Now we can see that when the doubles come, he's kicking and they bang it down the shots, and they bang and they dropping Vinny Smith like really clutch threes, and they
Jalen
bang it
Brunson.
down. Yeah, and I will lie, I was shocked, but more shockingly, Chris Paul once again big moment in the playoffs. Do we go back to that? Do we go back to that thing of saying that Chris Paul, when it's time to close out series, is a choker because the pressure's back on. Now they have to go to the desert and go. They have to. If by some miracle Dallas gets one, then you know this is a series. That's all they need. It's if they get one.
Yeah. And Luka can give you that one. That's the scary thing. Like at any point in time, Luka Doncic is that type of player that he can get you that W. He can just have that off game.
So,
he can just go
so
off.
for you specifically, because I mean, the team you wearing on your chest stands for defense this season, and that's behind their success. All right. Do you think defense is more important than offense in this specific series? Simply because we can see the Dallas Mavericks playing hardly any good defense. Luka just gets blown by, but then he gives you way more on the offensive end. So would you go and say that in this specific series, offense is more important than defense? And what does that mean for the Phoenix Suns? Because they've been one of the top-rated defensive teams throughout the season as well.
Which is fine, which is fair, bro. But what I will say is, regardless of the scenario and situation, defense will always take trumps, because fundamentally, when we look at basketball, right, if you stop the other team from scoring a point, you can jack up a fluke chart and win the game, right?
Sure.
The thing that keeps teams in games, in series, in championships, in the runnings is defensive prowess, stopping the other team from scoring. And we can go off about offense. Look, there's many ways to get a bucket. Like last night, Finney Smith went off in what? He dropped like 8 threes, right? Like,
but I mean,
Luka had 26 and 11 assists. Like
the reason I'm telling you this is the best player in Dallas is the worst defender on the court at any given moment. So
and for that reason, he's a defense. He's a liability. I don't know how many times I said. I tweeted the game before this on the day one. I said Luka Doncic is a defensive liability because he is. I don't care how much you give me on offense, right? And this is the thing, and that's the difference between good players and great players, right? You know that the greatest players in the league, as much as they can give you a bucket, they can get stops on the other side. Jason Tatum will give you 40 on this side and he'll stop KD from scoring on this side. And the thing about Luka is that he's always going to have to throw up circus shots, because he's going to have to, for him to be in the conversation, we have to talk about, he's scored this many points, he's gotten this many assists, and for us to forget about what he's doing on the defensive end. But mind you, the shot's not always going to drop, bro. And it was proved first 2 games that the shot is not always going to drop. And if you're a liability, you're picked out. And that's the way the cookie crumbles, bro. And
so where do you guys see this Dallas team going? How far? Because you mentioned earlier that the Warriors scraped for that win, and it's a win without Grizzlies having their best player. And I mean, it goes back to game 1 again, where the Warriors won and Ja missed a layup to take them up. So those are 2 games that are very close, and the Warriors won. So if the Warriors do go through and the Dallas Mavericks play the way they're playing, so there are 2 arguments you can make here. The fact that Luka Doncic is not playing defense and it's going to cost them. Oh, you know what? Actually, this series against the best team in the NBA has proven that he's got enough help. So there's no reason why he shouldn't be going all the way. You know, so
yeah, man. Jump in, Chaz. Go ahead.
It's the crazy part. I really think this should be so easy for Phoenix. Phoenix should not be in this position.
I agree.
Because if this series goes 7, I know for a fact the Phoenix Suns are out. They're out of here. That's why the next game is
zero clutch.
Because can I be honest with you? This last game, I could not believe what was happening with Chris Paul. A lot of people are calling them soft fouls. Those first 4 fouls are not soft fouls. Those are
Even a
professional
sixth
fouls.
foul, he knows
Yeah,
he touched Jalen Brunson.
it touched Jalen Brunson, and that's just bad leadership. And he is the key for them to go through because he is the oldest player. He is the one that controls the tempo of that game. So for him to
And
make
they'll
such
make
a
the
key,
adjustments.
yeah, for them to make such a key mistake is such a huge indictment on them. They lost that game because of Chris Paul not being around. Because once
Yeah.
that leadership goes out, they were jacking up threes, and now Devin Booker got to play the one, and the offense has got to run solely through him. So I think it's a huge indictment on CP3. He's got to really pick it up on the next game. But that confidence that Dallas is rolling with, I don't know. I have no idea.
See, that's the thing, bro. And that's the thing for me. Like, confidence will only get you so far, bro. You can't play defense. The other team will always be in the game. And that's the thing for me. And I feel like the Suns will make the necessary adjustments to take over the series and to go on and win. And maybe they'll heed and they'll learn from this lesson. But I don't see the Mavs carrying it all the way through. I really don't.
So who do you have coming out of this series then?
I think the Suns will still come out. They'll come out bloody, they'll come out ugly, but they'll still come out. And the fact that if they come out of this series, whoever they go and see next will probably be Golden State, right?
They're out.
That's curtains, bro. That's
You
curtains.
think so? But you just said Golden State are not even playing good basketball.
What I said was Golden State played horribly last night, and they still notched up the dub.
And the first and game 1 as well.
And Steph still dropped 32. Oh, that's the other thing. Didn't Steph still drop like 32 points?
Yeah.
And they played really bad. And against, dude, if you put CP3 in front, oh, come on, it's a wrap, folks. I'm sorry.
So,
it's a wrap. Yeah, I know, it's a wrap. And Golden State transition ball, the Suns can't keep up with that. No ways, man. I just feel like, I don't know.
Also,
I saw everything I needed to see last season from the Suns in the finals. That's it.
Wow. But now let's talk about the other team that also blew a 2-0 lead, the Miami Heat. You know, and this is a team that a lot of guys don't believe in because the Miami Heat, nobody really cared that they were first in the Eastern Conference to begin with, and nobody cared that 2 years ago they made it to the NBA Finals. Like, no one really considers them. You know, and here they are taking a 2-0 lead in the playoffs, and everybody's like, oh, now there's a bit of attention in that team. And they do what Doc Rivers should be doing, but, you know, they did it. They blew a 2-0 lead, you know. And the addition, or let me rather say, the presence of Joel Embiid and what we like to call the resurgence of James Harden. I don't know if 2 games are enough to prove this, but I see Farah's already nodding, but I mean, that's something we need to talk about. So, what's happening in that series?
Okay, so for me, it's very concerning, right? When Jimmy Butler goes off for 40, bro, and you still lose the game by 8 points. What that tells me is that the other guys need to step up, one. And the other thing is that I feel like Miami lacks this killer instinct of going for the jugular. You're 2-0 up, bro. This is the East. Like, you don't want to give, and no disrespect to the West, but it's a dogfight in the East right now. And the second you've had yourself an advantage and you've kept home court, all you need to think about is, I need to go and get one. And I need to go and get the first one, because when I'm gonna go there, and I'm gonna get one, I'm gonna get the first one, and I'm gonna close it out, I'm gonna kill it off, and that's it, right? The other thing is, I don't know why Duncan Robinson is not playing. Why is that boy sitting down? Because if I'm being honest, right?
Okay.
As a Celtics fan, I'm not scared of Jimmy Butler because he plays the type of ball. I'm not scared of Jimmy Butler. I'm sorry.
You play that one where you crowd the leg.
Yeah, he plays the type of ball that the Celtics love to defend. We've got the size, we've got the lateral
contact
movement,
as well, you know.
We can switch on everything. We're not scared of that. I mean, right now, Giannis be playing bully ball on us, and we're still managing to hold that down, even though in the previous game he took us for 42. Right? So for me, I was scared of those sniper shoot. You've got a sniper in Duncan Robinson. He's the type of dude who comes on, he scores you 4 consecutive threes in the space of 40 seconds. He's that type of dude. Possession after possession, splash, 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 splash. Look now, all of a sudden you have a 12-point lead. He's that type of dude. And in this kind of series, when you're losing a game by 8 points, right? And you have someone who has interior presence like Joel Embiid, right? He plays high percentage ball. Joel, that's what it is. So you're gonna have to when your back's against the wall, you're gonna have to pull in some guys who can contribute. And I'm not saying Duncan has to go off for like 30, but he needs to be on the court to contribute, man. Like Bam gives you a handy 20, 21. I still feel like he should do more. Tyler Hero had 10 or 11, something stupid like that. So when Hero doesn't go off and he's supposed to be El Sniper, pew pew, freaking Duncan Robinson needs to be the guy to replace it. I don't know why he's sitting down. As for James Harden, he will remain on fraud watch because James Harden has not. You decide to show up now.
But the series is still alive. It's not like KD showing up in Game 4 after he got swept. This is James Harden showing up in Game 4 to tie the series.
Yeah, he's goddamn lucky that he showed up now. He's really lucky because this series could have been taken. Matters could have been taken out of his hands, and that's my issue with him. Is that you can't wait for someone to slap you across the face for you to decide to wake up. And you're also an elite superstar, top player, allegedly, in the league.
But
and you already have a history of not performing in the playoffs. You need to be hungry, bro. You suck. You're not clutch. You've literally been nowhere in the playoffs your entire career. Come on, bro.
Also, I mean, you're mentioning all these Miami players and their contribution. And one thing that goes unnoticed is the fact that Kyle Lowry scored 0 points. So you talk about Jimmy Butler scoring 40 and they're losing.
Yeah, dude, poor efficiency. Kyle Lowry
scored 0 points.
Did he score 0? I thought he had like 6 or something. Really?
And that's the problem that I think the Miami Heat have. Very inconsistent.
Yes.
Like you mentioned, Tyler Hero giving you 10. On other days, he'll give you 30 coming off the bench. Jimmy Butler, and all of these inconsistencies. And maybe, Shaz, you can tell us what you make of all these inconsistencies and the return of Joel Embiid. The resurgence of James Harden.
For me, it showed once again why Joel Embiid is the MVP of the season. No matter what anybody tells me, the man came back and he picked up 2 games. But that's all I really. I get the James Harden resurgence, but James Harden doesn't put the numbers up without the elite superstar being there to really facilitate the offense. I think we need to give a lot of credit for Joel Embiid actually just pushed through these 2 games. He's like, guys, we've got to go take something now. And that's a huge credit to Joel Embiid. And James Harden, I really do give him credit because you know what? He could have actually choked again. So he was the difference. He was the difference. Yes, Joel will do what Joel does. But James Harden came in and said, guys, I really have to contribute. And the other guys also stepped up. People like Tobias Harris chipped in. These are the things that we've been saying about the 76ers, that once those other core pieces come back in, they will get through. I have a huge issue with Kyle Lowry not scoring any points. Duncan Robinson still being on the bench. That for me, that's insane that if Tyler Hero is cold, Duncan Robinson doesn't get his minutes. It makes no sense. Jimmy Butler can't do it all. He's not that type of superstar. So he really needs other people to step up around him. And if my point guard is not coming through, and if Bam is not coming through, Duncan Robinson is a great, efficient shooter. So don't give him his looks.
What does he give you defensively?
Oh,
same as Luka Doncic.
But the only difference is Luka can give you 30, 10, and 8.
And the thing is with Philly, where you're getting hurt is inside with Joel and whoever's got Harden on the perimeter. Tobias, you can talk about those guys, but you can make up for Duncan Robinson's lack of defense. You can cover up for him by guys playing good help, right? My issue with Miami is, dude, how are you only scoring 79 points in Game 3, bro?
It's the playoffs.
And that's the thing for me. Like, Philly will get and this is my thing. This is why I love the East, because I see now, right? Because the momentum's now shifted, and it's too late now to bring Duncan Robinson into the conversation and him getting warm or whatever. I think that because Miami let Philly come back, Philly are now going to go all the way, and James Harden's probably going to play decently well. Good. And
that's a big call.
Philly's going to take them down. And whoever Philly sees after this, and the thing is, it's because of the dogfight that's happening currently in my yard. You're going to see that Philly's been overcompensating for Miami's poor performances. And they're going to get in there and it's going to be a shell shock. I'm telling you, the conference finals for whoever comes out of this matchup is going to be completely shell shocked, because the level of basketball that is being played between the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks
now, we will give you your time. We will give you your time.
So let's go back to the Philadelphia 76ers. And as much as you're saying the resurgence of James Harden, I think there are two other players you really need to speak of. The first one being Tobias Harris. I think most people don't know that he's got a massive contract, 175 over 5 years. That is massive for a player who we don't often bring up in terms of he's not giving you 25 points a game, And then you've got a guy in Tyrese Maxey who I think if you compare him to Ja Morant in terms of athleticism, maybe not as explosive, but in terms of skills and overall contribution to the game, that's your guy,
Yeah, gives you a handy 18. Yeah.
So then when you mention all of these things and then Joel Embiid's presence, it just changes everything, because Bam would normally be helping, and because DeAndre Jordan is not much of a threat. He's now forced to sit on Joel Embiid, and they're still getting cooked, even with an injured Joel Embiid. Do you guys think if for some reason the Miami Heat make it out of this, we can say James Harden choked and Joel Embiid was hurt, his orbital and his thumb? Is that another excuse for Philly, again, based on their best player being injured? Or can you look at this and just say Miami are just a good enough team to go there? And if Miami does get knocked out, should we then say that Miami is nothing without Dwayne Wade, and they'll never come back? You know what I'm saying?
I'm not going to fall for that
What a throwback, dog. Like, I'm not
falling into that question.
I'm not getting into that.
I'm not going to bring up anything about Dwayne Wade. What is that?
And I mean, also, if 76ers come back and take it all the way, do we give Doc Rivers some credit because he's known as the all-time choking coach? And this is him showing against the best team in the East that he was 2-0 down and he managed to come back. So does that sort of paint a better image on Doc Rivers, or where does that leave him?
Let me jump in. Doc Rivers really needs.
Go ahead, Chaz. Go ahead.
Guys, the one guy who needs this. Forget about the players. If Doc Rivers doesn't get this over the line, he is out of a job. He is out of a job. He's legit. Him and Steve Nash.
Twitter fingers even. No way. He's gone.
I really think, look, James Harden and Doc Rivers really need this W. They need to get through the series. One, just so we can get off James Harden's back. And two, so we can just give Doc Rivers the room to coach. Because if Doc Rivers gets through and loses to, say, the Bucks, everyone's going to be like, it's the Bucks. They have Giannis on their team. But they cannot blow it against Miami. We have seen that they have more firepower than the Miami Heat. So they really need to get it over the line. And look, I'm not going to get into what you're talking about Dwayne Wade. I don't even know what that's about. I don't even know what that is.
I don't even know. These are Cancun takes, surely. There's no way.
The crazy part is this. I think Miami's still going to take it.
I don't know.
Even with the return of Embiid and Harden finding his way?
I've been here before.
I'm sorry. After showing me 79 points in Game 3, I could never trust you. I don't care what happens.
Kyle Lowry doesn't do this ever again. That's a professional. Doesn't do this ever again.
I don't know. We'll see.
In the last 2 games, Kyle Lowry is averaging 3 points, Shaz.
But he doesn't do this ever again. That's a champion. He's a champion.
Wow. Yeah. Let's move over to the supposed dogfight happening in Forest's backyard at the TD Garden tonight. This is actually, I think this is a more leveled contest, Each team has dropped a game at home and has picked up one on the road, so very even, especially because the Boston Celtics have come out of a series where nobody expected them to come out of, and speculations out there are saying that the Bucks have dropped the game in the dying business of the regular season so that they could avoid going through the net. All those are speculations. And I know Far is eager to speak about this. So let's maybe give him the mic to speak about his greens, as he calls them, the C's.
The C's, baby, we bleed green out here. So firstly, before I start off, last night's performance was a very, very emotional one for me because, firstly, we did not play well. I think in that game we probably played eight minutes like really well. The fourth quarter was where we really decided to show up in that game, but we were up against it from the beginning, right? And I think purely because of the fact that Jason Tatum didn't get off well. I know he ended up with 30. Jaylen Brown didn't show up, I guess, in the beginning. And this was a must-win game. And as a fan, I really felt like this was the end for us. It literally felt like this was the end. Giannis was bullying us down the stretch in the third quarter. And that man, Al Horford, had no right to pull that game out the way that he did. Because, mind you, it was not a fluke, right? That's the first thing. Al Horford's played consistently well from the first, and that's the thing. No, you see, that's the problem. That's the problem. I'd love to see a graphic of Al Horford's numbers during the playoffs because Al Horford has literally been Mr. Reliable. He's dropped us a handy 17, a handy 19, handy 15 points, handy 20 points even during the entire playoffs. Even when we were washing out that boy KD, Al Horford has been Mr. Reliable.
Whoa.
Not only on the offensive side, but primarily on the defensive side too, right? And to do it last night, where Rob Williams is missing, right? That's the first thing. And in the interior, we're pretty much done for because Giannis was getting every look that he wanted. We still managed to keep him down to a 43% shooting in field goal percentage. Sorry, and he's been literally shooting 57 consistently the entire season. So to bring him down to that in this game was crucial. And I mean, the dunk, it's actually Giannis's fault that they lost last night. I have Giannis to thank because when he threw it down on Al Horford's head, I've never seen Al Horford react that way ever in my life. That man is a God-fearing man, Jesus first, family second, that's all, right? And after that ball was thrown out, he said, okay. He said, yeah, okay, I bet. Al Horford said, I bet. And I was like, bro, I didn't even want to believe it. But that man shot 79% from the field last night. I'm going to say that again. On the road, where the officials, we'll get to Tony Brothers in a little bit because that's also ticking me off. He shot 79% on the road. So for me, MVP Al Horford, he's been our MVP this entire series, in my opinion, and that's where I'm gonna leave it. Right. Next step, I'm gonna get to the officials now. I am not a person who likes to harp on officiating a lot, but in these past two games in Milwaukee, the officiating has been terrible. I can argue that the officials cost us Game 4, right? Or Game 3, sorry. And that was a big thing for me because it felt like all of the fouls that were being called on us and Smart and these touch fouls, Giannis was getting away with a lot. Even last night, there's this huge graphic of Giannis crashing Jason Tatum against the board, and it was a no call. And I have a huge issue with that. Tony Brothers, the one of the main officials that was officiating last night, the Celtics are 2-10 when that guy officiates. Call it a bad omen, call it bad officiating, whatever you decide to call it, it is what it is, right? But now that it's 2-2, it's a best of 3, and you got to come back to the Garden. All the Celtics have to do is guard, defend home court, just to take care of home court. And I'm personally telling you again, I think there's still a big game, another big game out of Jason Tatum, because last night in the fourth quarter, he was absolutely insane, right? Drew Holiday's been really disappointing on their side. Everyone keeps talking about, oh, well, Bobby Portis Jr. can go off, Pat Connaughton can go off. These are things that, based on consistency and based on the results that I've seen throughout the playoffs, actually, without Chris Middleton, I honestly feel like the Bucks are on their last leg now, and we're about to take them down. I'm saying Celtics possibly in 6, worst case scenario in 7. But I think if we go down to the Garden and we wrap them up, they're not gonna come. They're not gonna want to come fly back down. And Giannis can play well. Giannis can drop his 30. He can get his 35. He can get his whatever. But based off of the game that we played last night and how bad it actually was, I don't see the Bucks taking us. Also, Marcus Smart with the handy 18 points and the 2 back-to-back clutch baskets that he got in the fourth quarter. That man is a dog. The way he defended Giannis too, the way he defended Giannis down the stretch as well. Marcus Smart there's a reason why he's Defensive Player of the Year. That guy, phenomenal player. And now we're going to have Rob Williams back. So firstly, second chance baskets were killing us. Turnovers were killing us. And the fact that Rob Williams comes back, we gain that a little bit of stability if he comes back. And I personally think he's going to come back in Game 5, which will clean up the rebounding for us. And if we starve them of boards, that's all right, man. Everyone was all here saying that Boston can't get points in the paint. Last night, though, we got to the rack, man. We got to the rack and we got the points in the paint.
I see Shaz seems to be disagreeing with a lot of your takes. I can see the man is dying to get his opinion out there.
Bring the Cancun cake.
What a brave call to say that the Boston Celtics win the next 2 games. That's brave. You're allowed to back it. It's the hope that kills you at the end of the day. I'm glad you brought up this word earlier when you were talking. Words like fluke. I'm telling you guys, this next game, Al Horford does not shoot 79% for them. He does that. Wait. He definitely needed to score that at that rate, and we give him all credit. But that's not happening again. Definitely the best player the best player in the game right now. It definitely is just like, you guys have come through with this disrespect. Yes, they lost the game, but there is no way that Horford goes off for that amount of points again. Ever in the playoffs. That's for sure. We all know basketball. This is an anomaly of a game. I still have Boston. I still have the Bucks in 7. Not even 7, in 6. They pick up the next 2 games. We don't even stress too much about. Yeah, I said it. Al Horford played incredibly well. That is why I think it's never gonna happen ever again. Because that's not Al Horford's numbers. We know that. He doesn't put those numbers up all the time. And no, he doesn't put up no damn 30. Doesn't put those.
Okay, no, I'm hearing you. But what about Jaylen Brown in the next game? You just gonna forget Jaylen because Jaylen had a bad game.
Yeah, but he'd be hot and cold when he chooses.
Rob Williams was off.
So and I think that those Bucks rotational players, people like Bobby Portis, people like Grayson Allen, all of those guys who never showed up in this game, when Giannis gets going, because this time I'm telling you, Giannis is getting going from the beginning to the end. He is definitely bringing this thing home. And you know what? Pharaoh, good luck to you, because it'll be weird if we're all in Cancun, but it ain't happening. Respect Giannis.
So just
my rebuttal to that though, quickly.
Yeah,
Giannis got going yesterday in the third quarter. The Bucks were up by 11 points. They were up by 11. They were cruising. We were down. The Celtics were in foul trouble, right? Down the stretch, I think their largest lead was about 13, 12, and around there. And these guys were getting the touches that they wanted. So the fact that they gave up that game after being where they were at home, you're telling me they're going to come to the Garden, right? Where Al Horford has cut, and I want you to take a look at Al Horford's numbers throughout the playoffs, right? He may not give you 30, but he'll give me a handy 12, 15, and I don't need him to score 30 in the next game that's 18 points difference. Let me finish. I don't need him to score. I don't need him to score.
At that percentage. Come on, man.
Again, I don't need him to score that many buckets in the next game because I've got Rob Williams back, Jaylen Brown, and this is and I don't know how this is always overlooked. You guys are willing to talk more about Kyle Lowry than not mention Jaylen Brown. That guy dropped 25 points in our last game at home in the first half. He dropped 25, and you want to know the scary thing about Jaylen? You want to know the scary? He can goddamn do it again, and you know he can do it again. And in this next game coming up, no, hold on. And Jason Tatum has now woken up to the fact that he can't wait for someone else to save him because he is our franchise player. When Jason Tatum took matters into his own hands in the fourth quarter, there were no answers for him. There were absolutely no answers for him. And I'm telling you now, with the way Marcus Smart's playing, with the way Jason Tatum's stepping up, and the way Jaylen Brown is about to step up again, I don't need Al Horford to score 30 ever again. I don't need him to.
So
For the rest of the playoffs, right up until the chip.
Here's the thing. The difference I think between the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks is that the top player in each team, one is consistent. You can count on Giannis to give you a 25-point triple-double or a 40-point double-double. But the issue the Celtics is Jason Tatum, as good as he is, he's very inconsistent. Jaylen Brown, as good as he is, he's very inconsistent. That's why you're having to win games like the one you won, the game 4, where it's now on Al Horford to give you 30 points. It's now on Marcus Smart to not only guard Giannis, but also give you 18 points. All those things you're mentioning, are part of the reason why the Celtics are struggling in the series. Because if the same Celtics team we saw against the Nets plays now against the Bucks that doesn't have Chris Middleton, all you need is for your stars to be consistent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but you just need your guys to be consistent. Because of that, I think it's very difficult for you to say the way this guy has been playing, we can take this game. Because you just never know what they're going to give you. Tomorrow, just like 2 games back, Jason Tatum can give you 3 for 16 again, and then you lose. Or Al Horford can go from 30 points to 12 points. You know what I'm saying?
What I'm saying to you guys, and I hear all the points that you're putting through, and I'll rebut the Giannis point real quick for you, and that's the reason. Giannis is actually the reason why the Bucks are as down as they are, because Giannis will always get his numbers right, and he had a special game where he went off for 42 against us. That's where we didn't guard him very well, but we locked him right back up again last night.
You locked him up to 35.
At the first, wait, hold on. And the thing is, he scored 30. No, hold on. He scored 32. He scored 35. He scored 40. But you need to look at the efficiency that Giannis gets those points, and that's the point that I'm putting across. It's because Giannis shot 43. He dropped how much? How many did you drop last night? 30 what? 35, right? On 43% shooting, and you know the type of looks that Giannis gets. For him to be 43% from the field when a man like him doesn't shoot threes at all. That's a bad thing. That's inefficient basketball. And I'll take that. If I'm a Celtic player, I'll take that. Because whether those points are coming from Giannis, whether they're coming from Bobby Portis Jr. in the corner, the point is they're inefficient. And we're getting
this is an out of character game for Giannis. Just so you know.
Out of character game. He dominated the third quarter.
Giannis has never been inefficient. We can come on.
But no, he's been inefficient against the Celtics the whole series. He had one game. The one we went off against us for 42. That was the game where he wasn't inefficient, but the rest of the series, we've locked him up. That's the thing.
I want to say this, Farah. I want to say this because this is my last point on this. The Celtics only go through if Al Horford shoots 70% and scores 30 points. That is the only way this happens again. I'm telling you, that is it. Because this is an anomaly.
And the other thing is we very much underestimate, and I love that Al Horford went off in the previous game because we also very much underestimate the role players at the Celtics. Because you have a guy like Derek White, where everyone was like, the 17 mil contract is a waste to Shan. Derek White had a plus, I think he had a plus 42 minutes percentage
Where's
last night.
when you need him?
Where Derek White was floor generaling that, and he was contributing all the way up and down the floor. Of the 60 possessions that he defended, right, he gave up 6 points. 60 possessions spread across different players in the Bucks team. He gave up 6 points. That is valuable. We know Peyton Pritchard can also go off. He can give us handy 3-point shots as well. Grant Williams is the other man that we will not just walk over because he is a crucial role player in the Celtics team. Purely because of how well he plays defense, his rebounding, and also because of the fact that he is our highest percentage 3-point shooter the entire season. Grant Williams knows how to shoot the 3 ball. And I promise you, watching the next game, he's gonna be that guy that I promise you, Grant Williams will never drop 30 again, or never. And the thing is, it's the responsibility will literally
more fluke. So you
exactly,
more fluke
that's
and hope.
that's the beautiful thing. People will always call it a fluke with the Celtics, but because of the way we play basketball, we get guys really good looks. We're willing to sacrifice a good look for a great look, and also I think the fact that Jaylen Brown is just going to be that guy in the next game at the Garden. Look, last night we were shook. And we were scared, and we realized that hey, we almost went home. Those guys are not going to let that happen.
So here's my thing. You making all this great. I like your analysis, basically speaking about how important these guys have been and these guys have been. But the series is still tied, and you can give credit to your role players, but not the role players of the Milwaukee Bucks. You can give credit to
Drew Holiday.
Wait. You can give credit to Al Horford going off, Jason Tatum having a bad game when they lost, but Drew Holiday dropping 16 points when they lose. I mean, those are also things that you got to take into consideration. So for me, these two teams are evenly matched, if I can say. It all depends on how good we can say the role players come through. But it's mostly important. What's most important is the second star of each team. In this case, Drew Holiday and Jaylen Brown. Because know the stars of each team, Giannis will always outplay Jason Tatum. But it's about Drew Holiday and Jaylen Brown coming along. When Jaylen Brown fails, that's when you have guys like Al Horford coming through to give you a shot of 30.
I have a point though to put to that, and for me, it's as simple as this: if both Tatum and Jaylen Brown have a good game, and this is the truth, if we're just
which never happens.
Hold on. If we're just gonna talk about the superstars, right? And actually, I can rebut that point just real quick. So if Jaylen Brown and
which
Jason
never
Tatum
happens
don't have a good game, the Celtics have no right to have two games in this series. Which again brings me back to the point that if we're just going to talk about the superstars, if Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown both have a good game, it's a wrap. That's a W. And Jaylen Brown went off for 25 points in the first half. That was a W. Al Horford did his thing last night. That was a W. So all it takes
is the games you lost, your actual superstar gave you 3 for 16.
And exactly. And that's an anomaly. Do you see where we're getting to now? That is such an anomaly for Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum has not played that bad.
The same way Shaz can tell you an anomaly is Jaylen Brown giving you 25 points in the first half for Al Horford giving you 30 points.
What you can
70% shooting on the road.
But what you can count on is Drew Holiday consistently playing badly because he's done so the whole series.
Let's move on.
All right.
You backed yourself.
I think that's where we have the playoffs. Now, as most of you are aware, Nikola Jokic, aka the Joker, was named MVP. This is back-to-back MVP, and I see a lot of people saying he's got more MVPs than Shaq, more MVPs than Kobe, and people are going to bring all these comparisons, right? Because it's a feel-good story for a lot of people. Now, the top three runners were Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Joel Embiid. And Joel Embiid obviously led the league in scoring, and people who make up.
And he's still playing playoff basketball. What are we?
But this is regular season, Shaz. You have to be honest about it. This is regular season. As much. This is regular season.
That's a good acknowledgement, though. Very good acknowledgement.
And what do you guys think of this? Do you think anybody was snubbed? Because also Nikola Jokic set a record for his stats this season. The same way we can make certain cases for Giannis Antetokounmpo and Joel Embiid. We can also say Nikola Jokic didn't have his second and third best player the whole season. You know what I'm saying? So, what are your takes on this?
Let me jump in. I think one, before we even just get into the individuals, it's kind of you're seeing this transition in the NBA where the international players are actually the best players in the league now, which shows the growth of where the NBA is actually going. You have three guys who are international guys where it's no longer an American-dominated league, which shows that the skill set outside of the American style of basketball is actually becoming a more appealing set. We can even see what's also going to be coming up with Luka Doncic probably being in the MVP race. So that's just a credit to where the academies in Europe and Africa are going. Just as a point to start off on. I really, really honestly think Joel Embiid was the most valuable player in the league for his team, because when his team was cooking, it's when he was dropping the points. He's had majority of the season without. Okay, yes, Nikola didn't have his team, but when that team was cooking throughout the whole season, Joel Embiid had to be the consistent superstar throughout, and he is the first center in a long time to be the leading scorer. I think that was something that we acknowledge. We have to acknowledge in that voting. I really don't think Nikola Jokic should have been that far, and I also think because the two other superstars are still playing basketball at the stage, surely.
It's regular season, Shaz.
No, but I'm just like,
You
like
can't bring the bias into
surely.
this.
I mean, like, surely. We're voting now. Surely.
I think it's a factor, though. That is a factor.
Yeah. But also
it can't be a factor, James.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why just now. But carry on, Chaz.
Yeah, and then the last thing, I think this solidifies Nikola Jokic as probably one of the greatest centers of all time. He is in that list. To be a two-time MVP at his age. There's still more to come. Congratulations to him, but I really think it should have been Joel Embiid. I leave my politics on that stance.
I think Farah.
Look, for me, I've got a personal vendetta against Joel Embiid because Philly, the 76ers, the rivalries that's there, and just simply, I just don't like him. I just don't like the dude. But one thing I cannot walk over is how well he's played this season, especially in a space where the NBA has become so guard-friendly and three-point ball dominated, where teams are built around the three ball. We're looking at Golden State. It's flashy. It looks good. But Joel Embiid is a traditional. He's a center. That's a big, right? And he doesn't just bang points in the paint. He owns the paint. He dominates the paint. And for that reason, he is always going to be a factor. So I think he gave an MVP-worthy performance. But again, I can't snub Nikola Jokic for MVP as well because he's also a statistician's dream as a big, purely because of the fact that he too bangs in the paint, and he also knows how to let the rock move. He knows how to get his teammates involved. The one issue I would have with Nikola Jokic and his MVP selection, and I think it would probably resonate across the league as well, is yes, he gets his players involved, but I haven't seen the level of the players that surround him elevate or go higher the entire season. And that contributes, and that's a major factor as to why he's now in Cancun and the rest of the league is still, or the other superstars that were considered are still playing, because as much as it's important to be that guy, I still feel as though Nikola Jokic had a very Scottie Pippen type role, not in the sense of positional play. I just feel in terms of how it was his responsibility to get other players involved as well. But Scottie made everyone else look better, though. And be better.
We give you the chance to retract Scottie Pippen's name out of this.
No. I'm not. No. It's no. Wait. I'm not saying it's a like for like. I'm not saying it's a like for like comparison. I'm saying that's what he aspired to, or that's what he was aspiring to in terms of trying to get his players involved and getting his teammates involved. But elevating their game was not a thing. And which is why I feel like that's the only reason why Joel would have had the tip over him to win the MVP. But I'm still not mad at Nikola winning it because, man, the bigs did their thing this season, and shout out to them because I feel like the NBA got really, really soft.
But I mean, if you're gonna go by that comparison, I mean, no one here has mentioned Giannis. On almost every game Giannis has played, he's been the best player on both ends of the floor. And I mean, I can understand how you may feel for it because your team is playing against him in the playoffs.
Yeah, I ain't got nothing to say about him.
If you separate yourself from that, you can't deny what that man has done throughout the season. He's been he was shortlisted for Defensive Player of the Year, shortlisted for MVP, top 5 in scoring, getting his team to where they need to be. Like, in terms of value, you remove that guy from the Bucks, and the Bucks are just another regular team. Like, it's going to be like an Atlanta Hawks, no disrespect to them. You remove Nikola Jokic, you can make the same argument, right? But I think the Joel Embiid case here is he's proven to be versatile, score inside the paint, outside the paint, all right? On top of that also, he's also had to deal with the same issues that Nikola Jokic had to deal with. his superstar is not being there. You see what I'm saying? And despite all of that, he still put up a better record in what we can all agree on, the fact that the East this season was far more competitive than the West. All right? Even in that East, Joel Embiid was
The
able
word
to
you're
go
looking for
and
is better. The East was better than the West. Better.
I mean, that too, but I mean, and even though I'm the one saying that this is a regular season award, you've just seen Joel Embiid's impact. He's not there for the first 2 games of the playoffs. His team loses. And then he comes back. The next 2 games he plays, they win. All right.
Mask on.
You can
And
make the
Jokic,
same
and Jokic is tired, dog. I hate that
He's
Jokic looks so
scoring.
tired.
He is the scoring champ, guys. He
And
deserves
we
it. He's
also
the
just
scoring
spoke
champ.
now. We spoke now about Fari. You mentioned elevating the players in your team, right? We were sitting here talking about Tyrese Maxey. That's a player playing with Embiid that through Embiid's play, he's just been elevated. But no one is here
He's
speaking about
revived.
Monte
He's
Morris.
revived Harden, dog. He's
No one's
revived
just
James
speaking
Harden.
about Aaron Gordon. He's basically revived Harden, like you said. So we can look back at this in hindsight and say, you know what, actually, we're not mad that Jokic won it because, like you said, it's a statistician's dream. But
Embiid
it could have gone to any one of those 3 players, and I don't think anybody would have been completely upset if any one of those 3 players got it.
I'm upset. That's Joel. He'll never put up these numbers ever again. I'm upset. You guys tell me again when a center will be the best scorer in the league ever again. That is not going to happen. They've cheated Joel Embiid. They did the same thing to Kobe Bryant when they gave Steve Nash that second MVP. Yes, I said it. I said it. It had to be said. It had to be said.
Look, it was a special season. It really, really was a special season.
Over 82 games. Over 82 games, Joel Embiid was the most valuable player. Even if you take away that he's still playing in the playoffs, over 82 games, he was the most. He was the most. That's my opinion.
With that being said, just to recap, Shaz says Boston in 6. Shaz says Bucks in 6. Forrest says Boston in 6. All right, and then we're just gonna hope that Doc Rivers and James Harden don't choke like they're accustomed to. And then we obviously expecting
if Miami go through, damn.
We're expecting
For the
Warriors.
sake of Black Lives Matter, Doc Rivers gotta go through. He gotta go through.
But also,
don't worry, he made a joke about Black Lives Matter. Don't worry.
If we go back to San Francisco for Game 6, we might just find Ja Morant at the club again the night before the game. But again, that's neither here nor there.
I actually tweeted, hey, when that video came out and Ja was at the club, I literally said Steph is dropping 30 or 40. I literally said it. How much he dropped last night? 32. That's my problem with that dude. He needs Jordan to be there to freaking slap him over the head and be like, dog, we're in the playoffs. What are you doing? Oh,
exactly.
Man.
But thank you very much, gentlemen. Everybody like, share, subscribe, follow, and we'll be waiting to hear from Farah and Shaz again to see whether or not they got their predictions wrong. I mean, Shaz has already come out to apologize to Brian for his takes. Let's hope we don't get to see more of those. But thank you very much, everybody. Like, share, subscribe. We out.
Peace.
Peace.